Radio, your station for up-to-the-minute news and intelligent, interactive, and engaging conversations. 96.9 FM. The views and opinions of the hosts and guests are their own and do not necessarily reflect the views of the management and staff of Guardian Radio.
La 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 la, la 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 la, la 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 la. I represent Bahamian people. I from Nassau, Bahamas, big up Baytown, bro. Where I from Baytown, bro. Right between West and Augusta, where them two roads meet, they call it Wilkinson Street. Manners and respect was like a sign blank check. It seems the ones that come in after quick to disrespect. You see, this life in the ghetto never easy. So many hungry days break till it grieve me. Way I doing the best I can, trying to turn my dollar to 100 grand. I represent the ghetto people. I from Nassau, Bahamas, big up Baytown, bro. Where I from Baytown, bro. Don't take no back talk, no bribe or no joke. If you find fire, you definitely find smoke. Baytown, bro. Where I from Baytown, bro. Baytown, I say up and running. Caliban say my show boy don't ever give in. 7 years of farm and watch the crops them coming. True they see a humble thing, the lion sleeping. But they hating for no reason. Only God that I believe in, living. Watch them only pass through for a season. Godless, I go weed them. I represent the ghetto people.
Good night to everyone who listen to Guardian Radio. All the talk show hosts that comes on every week, from General Manager Dwight Scron to C. Nuri and Aaron Green, to Howard Grant, to Shawago Lang, former member of Parliament. You know, it's be very intriguing to get all the information from all of these different various hosts, but also to Steve McKinney and those out there who, Rodney Munkar, you know, all of them who give the 2 cents, you know, they make it very interesting on the airwaves. You know, I do appreciate listening to them on a regular basis, you know, when they have the opportunity, just as well as the general public. So it's just a pleasure just to be able to have a voice in the country and speak on behalf of the Bahamian people. And I think that's a great privilege. My name is Valentino Brown. I'm the host of the talk show Inside the Inner City that premieres every Friday at 6:30 to 8 p.m. on Guardian Radio 96.9 FM. For those who would like to call in, many people tell me, say they don't like to call in because the topics we discuss is what they themselves wanted to hear on the airwaves. There just was no one out there who have the courage to speak on matters of importance in the country. And everyone said that I filled that spot, so I'm very happy to be able to satisfy many of the listeners. And I hope I continue to satisfy the many listeners and also influence persons out there to do what they can, you know, just don't sit around and waiting for something to drop out of the sky, you know, wait on government. Government will eventually come to you if you continue to do some good, positive work, and they would partner with you, you know, in the country. So I like just to keep on encouraging that. Put your faith in God, but faith without works is nothing, so you can believe in God, but if you're not applying it by, you know, let me give you a prime example. If there's a, say, 10-yard of sand in the backyard, and if you want it removed, but you keep on looking at it, and you want to pick up a shovel to take up 1 scoop of that sand, do you know that once you take 1 scoop of the sand, that's not 10 yards of sand no more? Even that 1 scoop is not 10 yards of sand no more. It might not look like it's still 10 yards, but it's not 10 yards no more. It just goes to show you that once you start off small, as big as that heap is, that 1 scoop was the first step in you removing it. That enormous sand that you look at and say, man, that's too much sand. But if you don't take that first shovel, that would never move. So you have to take the I don't know how I should put it. You need to take that leap of faith. Don't sit around and play dead. Go out and keep on trying. Despite the obstacles, you got to keep on trying. Don't give up, okay? Telephone numbers again tonight are 323-6232, 325-4316, 325-4259. My producer in studios is Mr. Chris. And it's a pleasure to be your host on this wonderful night here on Guiding Radio. And to all the callers, you guys do a tremendously great job of exposing what goes on in our country and coming up with creative solutions for the citizenry of this country to show that the citizenry of this country has a lot of solutions to the country's problem. The government listened to you guys, because I'm going to prove it here tonight. This show, Inside the Inner City, many of the topics we talk about on this show, we had happening. What we say on the show on Friday, we see in the newspaper or on Facebook that government listens and apply these things to their programs, okay? And I just want to say this. We've been paying private consultants close to over $200 million in this country. I bet you can't find one consultant that has the education and has the solution. But not only the solution, I can apply it in these communities so that they could change around the dynamics on the poverty issue to making it a prosperous and a vibrant community. And that's what I'm doing in my small community. But I'm also spreading the news on the airways so they can encourage other people to go and do the same. I put plans out there, work with numerous people in government over the years, like the Urban Design Lab, which was the Overall Initiative, is one of those. Local government was one of those. Small business was one of those. Housing, the government's program that they're doing now in the community, I think it's Clear, Clean, and Build initiative. I've been talking to numerous governments over the years. This is what we need to do to improve the conditions of the inner city communities by moving dialect vehicles, abandoned houses that are in the community, see if the government could subsidize those, either buy them or make a deal with the owners or have them repaired so they could be a home for a single mother or a single father or a family that does not have a house. Things like this, because there are so many abandoned houses across the country. But I just want the general public to know that what we talk about on this show, even though I'm not a paid private consultant. I was a consultant for many different government over the years, but as a person who did it freely for the general public. And many of the ideas that I put forward that God himself blessed me with, I applied because I was never looking for money. The only thing I was looking for to see how I can make an impact on these people who has the power to make these things happen, if they will listen and apply it. And I'm seeing many of that happening recently. But we're going to have to continue. So I just want to show you that what we talk about as citizens, right? And if you listen to God, you can make changes. Many people saying that, we need the FNM, we need the PLP, we need the Lincoln Bean. No, people, you need yourself, okay? Because I could tell you many things that I've discussed on this show and many ideas that I've given the government and many ministers of national security. I'm actually seeing those happening in this country today. Now, mind you now, they're now gonna tell you, say, but it came from Valentino brand, which is not important to me. But the only point I'm making is that to show the general public out there that persons like myself who are concerned, who I am? I'm not a PLP, I'm not a FNM. I'm a nationalist. I work with any government that's in power that wants to help the Bahamian people. And I'm a free consultant to any one of those, but not no more. But on the airwaves, everything is free because I feel that this is the right thing to do as a citizen. This is how you make change. Because I know I have a lot of people who listen. Rich, poor government officials who listen, they take notes. I even heard Erica listen to the show on a regular basis and take tips on what we discuss on the show. So I just want to encourage everyone out there just to don't give up. Keep on trying and don't wait for God. He gives you the vision, but you're going to have to apply it. Okay? Yeah. So I'm your host, Valentino Brown, host of the talk show Inside the Inner Scene again. It starts at 6:30, ends at 8. And it's a pleasure. Tonight we're going to continue from our topic last week when we talk about the tourism industry. We talk about a record-breaking 11.2. We want to see how, even though we record 11.2 million visitors, which is a record, like I stated, it's continuing to climb. We are talking about overnight stay. Many of the passengers on the ship, are bored with Nassau because they're seeing everything on the cruise ship, and they want to stay overnight. And they just can't find the atmosphere or the development. But that means, everything is run down. So we have to encourage. So Chris, if you could play the first clip for me so we could begin the show. And then the second half of the show, we talk about the housing crisis in the country. We're talking about tourism first, right, Chris? We're talking about tourism first, right? Housing shortage. We can start with the housing, then we're going to tourism. Okay, go ahead.
Meanwhile, the Davis administration seems to have a plan up its sleeve to alleviate the housing shortage, which officials recently said is a major concern. Housing Minister Keith Bell offered to reporters some insight on government's plans, which he says includes constructing a subdivision that will consist of 160 new houses for potential homeowners.
In the short term, the Prime Minister has directed myself and the Minister Ramin to jumpstart and accelerate, rather amplify the housing program in the country, not just in New Providence, but you'd have heard we're building homes throughout the islands, Grand Bahama, Abaco, St. Salvador, and the others. And so what we are doing is we're accelerating the program. And so we're doing not just building homes inside of the Ministry of Housing, but we have entered a number of public-private partnerships where we're going to actually be pushing out as much homes as we possibly can. As a matter of fact, just this week, the government, the cabinet, agreed to allow us to build an area called Adastra Gardens. And that is going to be 160 homes now we're going to roll out there as well. This area is 300, Adastra Gardens 160. We have one or two other areas. Pinecrest 2, it's going to be another 40 homes. And so all of those areas we're going to be pushing very aggressively to get those homes done.
Now, Bell acknowledged that the rising cost of living has made it more difficult for many Bahamians, but he says VAT exemption is a part of efforts to reduce the financial barriers to home ownership.
For the first time where if you have siblings or individuals, one time ago if you're building an apartment, a duplex or a triplex, only one would have been VAT exempt. As long as all of those units are owner occupied, each of those units will be entitled to VAT exemption. And that is extremely significant for this country. We want to ensure that we level the playing field. Everyone is entitled to shelter, and that is one of the basic necessities of life. Everyone needs shelter, so we're not going to discriminate against anyone. You come in, and we will ensure that we do our best to put persons in home. As a matter of fact, we've gone even further in terms of rolling out our rent-to-own program, and you will hear a whole lot more about that.
Yes, and that's what's going on in our country. The Minister of Housing, the Honorable Keith Bell, I give him a pass. He has really transitioned from the last time he was a member of Parliament. He's cocky, but he seems to simmer down and fall in place now, and he is more committed to making things happen for the Bahamian people and staying in line with the Bahamian people. In other words, he's not so arrogant and so not outspoken. He seems to have learned, and he's doing a very good job in the housing program in the country. He also talked about, transparency. When we look at the housing issue in the Bahamas, and we're talking about these new subdivisions, he's talking about these new subdivisions, Abaco, Grand Bahama, and he's talking about private partners. Didn't I just talk about this last week on the Friday and what government needs to do? We had a statement from a friend of mine's, Lady Sharon Wilson, like I said, the wife of Sir Frankie Wilson, and their son, Fanon Wilson, who is in charge of our Walk Homes. He stated concerning the housing problem in the country, that is going to be a very hard problem to fix in the country because, there's not so many places that can be developed, and many family owns second-generation property. And, that's a cord bottle. And we have a lot of run-on homes in the community that has no title. So when he made that statement, I would agree with him that we do, and it's going to be very difficult. But I also disagree because I know for myself that we can also use the family islands, and I made a statement last week, Friday, saying that, we can repair, rebuild, and also the government can confiscate properties that are being laying vacant for 40, 50 years, but also if the family still owns the property and they're not doing nothing with the property, especially when family members can't get along with one another. Because mind you now, there are a lot of properties that are family generation property, and brothers and sisters can't get along. They don't like one another. So the house stays there. And even if they kind of like one another, they would rather see it go down the drain than to see one of their siblings or a family member taking ownership of that particular house or that property. It's because we have the black rob syndrome. And because of that, we have a lot of foreigners coming in, and the families, them who disagree with one another, they rather sell it. So we're hearing Minister Keith Bell talking about, foreigners being able to buy so many properties in the Bahamas. And that is one of the main reasons as well. Also, we got a lot of people who are poor, would like to develop their homestead, but they just don't have the finance. So I think that government's going to have to try find a way, on how they can subsidize and work with persons who would like to repair their homes or give them the best advice on how they can go ahead and receive finance or assistance from government to do their generation property. I also made mention the fact that you can also, besides government, we have generation property on the family islands. And if you could probably find a way to work with your family members or work with government and turn it like into A, B, and B, or a subdivision that you can work together as a family and say, we have 10 acres. Okay, what are we going to do? We're going to build low-cost homes for Bahamian people. And that's how you yourself become a real estate Mongol. You get the Christies, who does a lot of real estate in the country. You have the Wilsons, who by far are one of the biggest real estate agencies in the country. So why not you? We have a lot of family-generated crown land that can be developed. So many of us just need to start thinking out of the box and instead of leaving our money in the bank, let's use it as collateral and say, what? Let me go on Andres. I have 5 acres. Let me see if I can talk to some private partner and let's get and come to some type of agreement and build some units of houses. But at the same time, when you're building the community, remember you need barbershops, you need bakeries, you need a clinic, you need a fire engine, fire station, you need your ambulance. So as the plan come up about the structure of the settlement that will be established, you add these things, okay? And when you add these things, you're giving the homeowners who looking to come to Andres to say, you're enticed knowing that you have all the resources there. You have the fire station, you have the grocery store, you have the gas stations, you have the airport, the road is paved, you have everything you need to run a community, besides the houses that you're going to build. And then you set up places in the community where you can establish small businesses. So anyone who want to do on the barbering, baking, and whatever, et cetera. So even though you're going to be living there, many people can become business owners. And that's how we got to think out the box. And that's what we need from our government. And I just want to say to the general public this without being insinuating from day one. And now you see the things I talk about actually are on the airwaves and in government, which has always been in government. The clear, clean, and the clear cut clean program that the government right now is initiating. I've been doing that for over 20 years in my community, and I've been doing that and preaching that on the airwaves. They're talking about moving dialect vehicles. They're talking about repairing abandoned houses, clean up abandoned yards that have a lot of trash, etc. They're also talking about extermination of the rat population, the road population. They're looking to enforce the law now to make sure that persons who have numerous different cars in their yard now can be penalized. Because you have some people who they have their yard, but they have 4 or 5, 10 cars in it, and they live in the community. So these are the things that I think can be very beneficial to the country. But the housing shortage in the country just need to be expanded. I mean, you had Minister Keith Bell talk about it, but like I said before, these are simple problems that can easily be solved in the country. And me as a Bahamian, Minister Bell talked about the fact that no one is going to be victimized. See, because when you're doing this housing program and you build these houses in these subdivisions you talked about in Abaco and Grand Bahama and Maguana and in the Bahamas, Nassau, you give these to people who are part of the PLP party, you know. So it's not really for the Bahamian people, you know. Most of these people who get in these houses have some type of connection, not in all cases now. Some are handpicked naturally, but the majority of the houses that are being developed are for people who are part of the party. So that's why Minister Keith Bell is saying it's going to be a transparent operation. It should be a transparent operation when houses is built. Why I have to be a party member for me to get one of these houses? What about me, who was a single parent or single father, who was just a Bahamian citizen, who voted, who contributed to national insurance, and I'm looking for a better way of life? Nassau was congested, Bahamas. It's congested. We have too much people living in the Bahamas. If we build low-cost homes and develop Lutra, we develop Andres, we develop Abaco, we develop Freeport, and we put homes there. Me as a Bahamian person can look in the newspaper, you know what? I say, man, things rough over in the Bahamas, man. Let me go start a new leaf. There's a house in Auckland, you know, it's very far, but I think that's my best choice. You know, I think I could make it work down there. You know, my payment plan for my house don't cost me more than $50,000. So it range anywhere from $35,000 to $40,000 for me to build a low-cost home. So it take me about 10, 15 years to pay off that loan. I could live with that, you know, not no 150, no 200, not no $300,000 home, you know. And we got to make these prices available for Bahamian people across the board because things are tough and we coming out of a hard time, you know. And people always say it's the people time, but it's never the people time, you know. We need to make it the people time. So these low-cost homes that are going to be built, I think they're going. I hope that the government is going to charge less than $40,000 or $50,000 for these homes. Because if less than $40,000, we could work with that. Because like I say, if we could get a payment plan within 10 to 15 years, we could pay it off, and then many persons could have their small business started in these inner city communities, not just in Nassau, but on the family, and you could be creative, you know, because you have a new opportunity. So many Bahamians living here can actually say, I want to go to Andres. I want to purchase that property right there. It's a payment plan, rent to own, like the Minister Keith Bell stated. And these are the kind of programs we need in order to change the directory of our country. And this has to be continuous. And like I said, every year, I think the government needs to say they're going to make 2,000 homes with a growing population of Bahamian people. You know, we close to 250,000 in the Bahamas, and there's way more Bahamians living abroad with Bahamian ties, you know, family members that left the Bahamas many years ago, 20, 30, 50 years ago, never returned, but they're still Bahamians, but they have a different country that he lives in. They still have Bahamian passport, but they live abroad. And we're going to have to encourage people, you know, encourage the government to build these settlements, for private partners to build these settlements. We talk about when Mr. Wilson, who's in charge of our homes, I think it's Farron Wilson. Excuse me if I mispronounce it. But anyway, he's the chairperson of our homes. And he talked about, let me see what I was going to say now. He talked about, man, he said something I was trying to remember in my head, man. But bears be doing so much things in the inner city community. I just have it right down, but, having this conversation to be real conversation, and I pick the topics of the newspaper and I mix it up just a little bit. And let me see what he said now, man. Come on, man. I got to remember. Yeah, I think he said that, but anyway, that's not important. Yeah. So like I said, we're going to have to encourage the government to continue to build low-cost homes. Government should be looking to build 2,000 homes per year and give Bahamians living in the country an opportunity to rent or own at a very cheap price. We should develop basically all the family islands because we have a growing population. And you can imagine if we could get 100,000+ people to live in Nassau right now. I'm screen that would be off the hospital. I'm screen that would be off the policing and crime. We reduce the population in Nassau, Bahamas, and we create other capital states. Because I feel that, if we had Hurricane Dorian a few years ago, which devastated one part of Abaco and Freeport, and there were many people who were left displaced, and many people had to go in shelters and family homes and the sports center here in Nassau and Providence. Now, you think we serious as a country now, Bahamian? We have 700 islands, 700 keys, and we had a devastating hurricane in Abaco. Why is it that we have to reroute people back to Nassau or to Freeport? What if we had different settlements with a lot of low-cost homes, second homes and third homes for Bahamians? I could live in Nassau, but I also could rent a home, rent or own a home in Andres, Grand Bahama, Lutra, anywhere in the family, any one of those 700 islands that can be developed. But it changes everything. Because now, if something happens in Nassau, I could go to Andres. Andres is bigger than Nassau. Or I could go to Cat Island because that's my second home. And I could live the same way I was living in Nassau. So when Mr. Wilson made a statement, he was correct, but also you got to broaden the atmosphere on how we think in the country. That's why we have 700 islands, 700 keys. So if there's a devastation of hurricane, we could always reroute. We don't have to leave the Bahamas, because when the hurricane happened, the whole U.S. and the world was in the Bahamas. Bahamas was destroyed. Am I correct? But if they only knew we had 700 islands, 700 keys, and I had to come on the show and I had to let the world know that it's not just Abaco and Freeport. I had to let the world know there's 700 islands, 700 keys when I came on the show around that same time. And I got to hear one or two people say they didn't know that. They thought Bahamas was Abaco and Freeport and the Bahamas, but we have 700 islands. So there's no natural disaster that I think can affect the Bahamas so much that we'd have to leave the Bahamas and go live in the U.S. and live in Canada. In fact, they stated that if there was a nuclear bomb or there was a zombie apocalypse outbreak or a disease like COVID-19, you know where they have the Bahamas ranked? The 10th most safest place to be in the world. Now, there's hundreds of countries out there. Why are they saying the Bahamas is one of the most safest places to be in the world? You know why? Because we are chosen, we are surrounded by water. And our soil purifies and separates us from other countries around the world. That soil that we see and the sea that we see, that's a protection barrier that destroys disease, that travels overseas in the fog. Because what most people don't understand is when you see fog, what you think fog is? It ain't mist no more, It's car, it's bringing out fuel that's in there, fossil fuel. And when the atmosphere changes, it gathers up all of this, and it goes in the cloud. And you think it's fog, but it's actually what makes you sick, because in there is all kind of contaminants If you can remember when the garbage was burning a few years ago, and then there was this smoke cloud up in the sky, and they had a helicopter or the plane taking samples of the air quality. It was pollution. So where do you think that goes? It stays in the cloud. But our salt water that God has given us actually dilutes it and destroys it. Even if there's a nuclear bomb explode close to the Bahamas, our salt water will also dilute it. That's why they test nuclear weapons in the salt water in the sea. Why not on land? But they test it in the sea because they know that salt water and the components in salt water is actually a cleanser. So we must be thankful. And they say the 10th most safest place in the world to be if there's a nuclear bomb or apocalypse, virus spread, like the living dead, this is one of the safest places to be in the world, out of all those countries. So that's why I say to our leaders, y'all got to think out the box. Let's encourage Bahamians to go have a second home or third home on these family islands. So make sure that these communities are developed, meaning they have hospitals, they have workshops, they have a garbage truck, they have ambulance, they have a police station, they have community centers, they have the church, they have hotels, they have Airbnb. And we'd see a great reduction on the stress that nurses feel, and our nurses wouldn't be so stressed out no more because there'll be decline on patients coming to the hospital. Because now other family islands can deal with their problems. You don't need to airlift nobody from Andres. You don't need to airlift nobody from Cat Island because we have the facility. And if we do need to, we have the air ambulance at a low price. I also want to knock on many of the persons who rent in the Bahamas. I'm not mad at the persons for raising their rent. I think I heard the Minister of Social Service and also Keith Bell talk about the high prices of rent. You know, I'm not attacking those who rent their establishment what they work hard for. But I do think some of the prices to rent an apartment, some people going $2,500, some people, one bedroom, two bedroom, you're looking to pay close to $1,500 or $800 a week. Like I say, can't blame the homeowners. I don't know how much they spend building their place, how much they, for their supplies. Building supplies are very expensive. But some of the prices are outrageous for rent. It needs to be a regulation on rent. We also need people to come and check these places that are rent out, make sure that the garbage is being collected on time, make sure that the plumbing fixtures, electricity, et cetera. We need persons who just go around and check on apartments to make sure that the residents who rent the apartment are not being taken advantage of by some of the homeowners. Like, again, I'm not talking the homeowners. I understand they're hard work. They work hard. They come up with their strategy for their backup plan that when they retire, they build this apartment to make revenue come in. So they work for 20, 30 years, and they build this apartment. And this apartment here is going to pay, their expenses for the rest of their life. So that's their bread and butter. They have Airbnb. So some of the prices that are staggering in the country that are persons who rent to Bahamian people are outrageous, and we need to look into that. We need to make rent a little cheaper in the country. I don't know how we're going to do that, but it's really outrageous. Some of the people who rent are really, really overdoing it. Some of these places you go to, you can't have no children. You can't play no music, Some people want key to their apartment, and, I had Eric Henfield out here to talk about that about a year ago, the rights of tenants. They want key. The landlords want key to their apartment, even though they rent it to an individual, they're telling them you got to come on my yard at a certain time. You can't bring your car, and you can't with children, and then you're charging high prices. Man, it's crazy. Some people want you to pay water bill, light bill before you come, and they want you to pay first and last. Man, it's crazy. We need to look into all these things. We're gonna take this one call on the airwaves. Go ahead, caller. You're on inside there in the city.
Hey, Scrooge, how you doing?
I'm fine, sir. I'm fine.
Man, listen, very interesting conversation here. I just tuned in maybe about 10 minutes
You ain't
ago.
missed too much.
Let me just say this much based upon what I've heard you speak to already. First and foremost, to live in this country is very difficult. All right?
Yes.
Anyone that says otherwise is not living in the Bahamas. It is very difficult to live here. Let me give you a few examples of what I would love to see a progressive government do for its citizens, and in particular, the citizens who have the inalienable right by our Constitution, what we call the raw-born Bahamians. Those Bahamians whose parents were born in this country at least 3-4 generations.
Yes, sir.
These Bahamians we would like to see really taken care of.
Yes, sir.
Let me give you some examples here. First and foremost, I would like to see the abolishment of the real property tax.
Mm-hmm.
Persons who have owned their homes for well over 40, 50 years, why are they still paying taxes, real property tax on these homes, when first and foremost, they had to find the monies to buy the land. Secondly, they had to find the monies to build their homes.
Yes.
Thirdly, they have to put the infrastructure in.
Yes.
Fourthly, they pay taxes. So why, after 40, 50 years of living in their homes, they're still paying real property tax? A progressive government will abolish that. I think that's nonsense.
Yes.
The second part of this whole equation is the agencies, and we have spoke about this many times before.
Yes, sir.
We're talking about the healthcare system in this country.
Yes, sir.
We would like to see an agency where they would, even though we realize that we are not self-sufficient in terms of feeding ourselves, but then getting back to the groundwork of encouraging farmers to get back in the field.
Yes, sir.
The fishermen to bring in our catch and then produce canneries where we could export our fishing products all around the world. Our conch is already on that list of becoming extinct.
Yes, sir.
But if you go to some countries around the world, especially right here, right in our backyard,
Florida, yes.
you see that they're using our conch products by one or two of our Bahamian, citizens who have entities over there.
Bamboo Shack. You're talking about Bamboo Shack, yes. Mr. Leon Pender.
Yeah. We can actually do a lot of things in this country, but we do not have progressive minds that form our governments
Yes,
to
sir.
really progress the people forward, especially financially. I believe it is a deliberate act, and I'm taking this very seriously. At 61,
Yes,
looking
sir.
at where this country was,
Yes, sir.
where this country is today,
Yes,
there is no way under God's green earth with our deficit, our national deficit,
It's in the
as
billions.
high as it is, and the Bahamian people still living in the manner that we are living? No. This has got to be a deliberate plot to keep us destituted. We have to fix this problem.
Yes, sir.
But, the thing is, Scrooge, and I don't want to take up much more
Yes,
time
sir.
of
Go
your
ahead, sir.
program.
Yes, sir.
But the bottom line here is, we blame the politicians in our house.
Yes, sir.
For this nonsense.
Yes,
It's
sir.
we, the Bahamian people, because we put up with too much nonsense.
Yes, sir.
Instead of we allowing the government to set the mandate of what they want to do for the Bahamian people, it is the Bahamian people who should be telling them the mandate
Yes,
that
sir.
they should be doing on behalf of the Bahamian people.
Yes,
and
sir.
until we raise to that level, we would not get no better in this country. So in closing, the healthcare system,
Yes,
I would
sir.
like to see it improve by improving the stuff that we import in this country.
Yes, sir.
We need an agency who is going to be there to take like how in the States they have the
FDA samples, make sure they're not in common that can harm the general public.
Exactly. We need an agency such as that. We need someone who's going to be the watchdog
Yes.
of the abuses, the financial abuses of this country.
Yes, sir.
Looking at the transparency and accountability criteria that they claim that they have, but it seems like there is no transparency and accountability agency to hold our government feet to the fire.
Yes, sir.
And lastly, I would love to see the real property tax really take the
Expunge.
burden of these homeowners
Expunge,
who have
expunge.
spent all their lives
Expunge
to
it.
finally give them a breathing
Yes, sir.
room to own things in this country.
Yes,
okay?
I think,
So,
yes, sir.
So I just want to throw those three things out there,
There's
and
some
I'll
good-
continue to listen to the rest of the program. And if I feel inclined to call back
Most definitely.
with any one or two other aspects of where I think we as Bahamians could do a lot better in this country, finally to get the break that we need
Yes,
to
sir.
live comfortably in this country, I will be more inclined to call back into your program.
Yes, sir.
Thanks for taking my call.
No, that's my pleasure. You always do a fantastic job of knocking all those points. There was two very valid points. I'd also like to add this and interject also on this. If the government could give us free electricity, free cable bill, I think that'd go a long, long, long way. I think that's what we need to look at. We need to let the government subsidize PPL, telecommunication company as well. We need to take VAT down to zero. Let the government pay for our cable, like I say, BPL. And then also, he talked about the tax on the houses people have paid for 40, 50 years, and if government can find a way to eradicate that, this will give the Bahamian people that, and with the small business that they're going to initiate, along with low-cost homes in the family islands for Bahamians like myself and other Bahamians who been here 4 or 5 generations, who have voted in many different general elections. And we were promised to have a square deal. We need to see that happen. To the caller who just called, man, every week he calls and he make a lot of sense. We're going to take this next call. Go ahead, caller. You're on Inside the Inner City on Guardian Radio.
Hey, Scrooge, my brother, what's going on?
Bless up, good night, my brother.
All right. I concur with all the sentiments the previous caller just said just now, just played just now.
Excellent.
Listen to me, man. This country too beautiful and too good for the people of the country to be experiencing this type of, I can't even explain what it is that majority of Bahamians experiencing right now.
Yes, sir.
You know what I mean?
Yes, brother.
And I just want to premise that with saying this. Listen, you see what's happening around the world right now, right? With certain countries, people fighting back and things of that nature, right?
You mean without Donald Trump passing those laws and stuff like that?
Exactly.
The tariff and all that.
You understand?
Africa just pull out.
You don't feel like,
Africa
I
just...
don't know if it can be in our times, too.
Go ahead, brother.
You understand what I say? You don't feel like one of these or some of these people can kick up and say enough is enough, Scrooge?
Yeah, man. I feel it's right around the corner. I feel it's right around the corner.
I ain't saying it's us, right?
Mm-hmm.
But that's where it's going. But
Mm-hmm.
I could see you looking there. I just saw someone by on Bay Street just now today.
And what did he say? What the conversation was? Let's give us a little break. You don't have to call us, man.
This
Go.
guy homeless, brother.
Okay.
Understand?
Yes, sir.
But he ain't losing hope, you know.
He still want to try.
He feel like it's a test for him.
Mm-hmm.
Like the Father testing him, he put him in this situation to make him stronger.
Yes, that's true.
You understand what I'm saying?
Yes, brother.
To put him through a situation where he could tell a story the way he come from.
Wow.
You understand?
Yes, sir.
Every day I sit down and talk to this brethren, you know. And he enlightening me and telling me I here for another purpose too. You see what I say?
Yeah, you really knowledgeable, man. You knowledgeable young man.
Exactly. And that's the reason I talking to him.
Yeah, because he feel confident
People
in
that
you.
walk past and people don't see him.
See, and that's why he feel comfortable talking to you. And you see how intelligent he is as a young man. He encouraging you. You
Exactly.
understand? That's
You
how
would
this people...
never realize that.
Yeah.
If you don't actually take the time out,
People
and just
judging.
say, hey, what's going on with you, buddy? All is well.
And that can make his day, you know?
That make it stay.
'Cause I know you-
That open them up, Scrooge.
Because I know you'd say, look here, you want soda or you want, let's eat something while we talking here for a minute or two. You know how it go.
Exactly.
You know,
Them
you
some
go off
food,
for.
everything,
You
you
go
know.
off for. You go off for. That's us being because we know what position he and he having a conversation. You see intelligence. So us being who really care about one another, even though you ain't get much, brother, you still winning the share, and that's where the conversation come from. That's why you saying what you
Take me
saying.
back to that same police bike
Yeah,
who gone say the defense force officer
yeah,
that accident.
yeah.
I respect that nigga.
Yeah, he is a real officer, and that's being a nationalist. You know,
You hear him
he went
talk,
beyond. Yeah,
You hear how he expressed himself?
yeah. He said about the cameras and all that
I
stuff.
feel
Yeah,
that, bro.
no, he blocked the road
That
off.
wasn't no you know what I mean, no acting or nothing, but that come from me heart. And that give me another a good feeling about certain officers still got it, man.
Yeah. It's we still got it, man. Bahamas still is a loving country. With this corruption, we just need to try to eradicate that. And then we'd see more people like yourself and other people out there who really care about the country and bring us closer together.
Exactly. We got to be more Bahamian-centric. That's where we lose it, Rudy.
Yes, sir. I agree with you.
We go on international.
Yeah, we're going to turn the concrete jungle.
Going away from our ancestors.
Yes.
Mama and Papa who praying for us, going
Yes.
to church every day. Going in to church, you doing a bunch of foolishness, but their prayers, they're protecting you right now.
Yes, that's what it is, my brother. Yes, sir. You're right.
No?
Yes, sir.
All right, bro. Appreciate you, man.
Man, I appreciate you, man. Every time you call, you make sense, my brother. And the thing is, right? You always make sense, and this is the kind of conversation we want. We want the general public to know that there are so many people homeless in this country today. You know how much people come at me every day asking for a roof over their head, and I'm talking Bahamians, I'm talking Haitian nationals on a regular basis. You know, there are so many homeless Bahamians. I mean, raw bred Bahamians in this country. I ain't even talking about the Haitian Bahamian who are stagnant. I'm talking about naturally born Bahamians. Don't have nothing in this country. Don't have no stake in this country, and they vote into the general election. And they don't have nothing. People sleeping in cars, okay? I had 3 set of different people staying by me in the last 5 years, and I've never charged them rent. Females and all, okay? Who I've never slept with. There's females I give the room to. It was a spare room. And they have their family, their sons who I love dearly. I care for people. And I allow them to stay in there free without even paying no bills because I know they're in need. I rather they be in there, the rooms and serving me no purpose. Yeah, I want my peace and quiet, but I put up on a little year and a half, 2 years, so they could get on their phone. I'm asking you, saving your money, look for the cheapest spot, and make sure that you could deal with your monthly or your weekly payment. And guess what? The week's going so fast now. No Monday here, Friday there. So if you pay rent this week and you go to work next week, and you're not able to pay your rent this week, it builds up so fast. I mean, these days are going so fast. So when some people, who ain't getting paid, who ain't working, and, they're scrapping and hustling, they don't want to move. That's why so many people are moving from apartment to apartment to apartment to apartment. You know which people, by the apartment around by us, people get their light turned on by BPL. And when they leave out standard bill, they are close to $1,500. So when the next tenant come in, they have to get a letter from the owner of the building to give them a letter so they go down to BPL to see how they could get this person name off the meter box. And then BPL would say, this person was disconnected, and the only way to get it turned on, you have to pay a certain percentage. And some people who in the apartment can't even get the light turned on because, they can't because there's an outstanding bill, and then the person who owned the building, he has to write a letter. When he writes the letter, and saying that this is a new tenant, then BPL has to make a decision. But many people don't want to move, but people are moving. People just move in places 6 months, and they got to move after 6 months, and they back on their rent. They only being able to pay their rent from the first and last and probably one solid month. Then that's it. So we have the many different opportunities for our citizens in this country, man. We get so much homeless people in this country. That's why the political rhetoric, the Free National Movement, and the PLP have to understand the housing crisis in the country is very serious. When you look at the streets, see people sleeping on the side of the road. Sleeping inside cars. People walking around calling lampposts. This thing saying, you guys, it's just about business as usual. Wise, wrong borings, right? Narrow fiddles and wrong borings. And that's what happened in the Bahamas. We are borrowing. Despite the best efforts of government in doing all these programs, there's still a darker side. And the darker side is people are still suffering in this country. The dark side is people are out of homes, have no place to go. A lot of people are unemployed. They don't have no one to turn to. Like the gentleman was saying, most people pass a young gentleman, but, he stop and he talk, and when he sit down, he listen. The guy, homeless, and he still don't want to give up. Still trying. I was saying it early on in the show. And we have thousands of people like this in the country. That's how serious it is in the country. but we have so much land. So let's let me encourage those of the growth generation properly. Get together, come up with a plan, and build some low-cost home. Get a loan from the bank or from a family member, and you'll split it up. But also be sincere to those who you're gonna sell the property to. And also to the tenants. You live in this apartment that these people spend so much money for. You gotta take care. Don't damage the people's bathroom. Don't mess up the sheetrock. Keep the place clean and tidy, because some of us overdo it. We go in people's apartments and we destroy it. We don't have no kind of respect for people's place, and then we complain, the toilet didn't work, or the roof leaking, or et cetera. On the roof is another issue, but there's a lot of tenants also don't take care of their business establishment. That means they let it run down, the roof is leaking, and they want to get their rent, the water's off, or the electricity off, or something going on, and they don't want to fix it, but yet still they want the rent money. And some people decline to pay the rent because they say, man, the bathroom waking, or the roof leaking, and I ain't paying my money because I get all my stuff get wet and get damaged, so it's be a back and forth. So it's a balanced approach, so we need persons who could regulate the housing industry, and also we need people who are part of government and private entity that goes around checking the apartment to make sure that it is it's up to standard for persons to be living in this establishment, and also make it that the place is healthy. Means that there are no rats, there are no roaches, there are no abandoned cars where the people are living, because we have a lot of apartment buildings where there are a lot of abandoned cars and a lot of garbage in the yard, and also that the garbage is not collected on a timely fashion. So we have to make sure all these things are looked at. We're going to take this last call and we're going to carry the talks to the tourism industry. Go ahead, caller. You're on Inside in the City on Guardian Radio.
Hey, good night, my brother.
Good night. Yes, sir. Go ahead, sir.
Hey, you're doing a good job. Appreciate the fact that you're lending your voice to helping those in the inner city.
Yes,
I'm
sir.
not a part of the inner city myself, having grown up and moved on, but the reality is we are still a part of each other.
Yes, sir.
Because we're all one and we're all Bahamians. And to have your voice towards helping those who are in need is always a blessing, because if you don't fight where you have a platform, who will?
Yes, sir.
The other thing I wanted to make a comment on is based on what you were saying relative to the housing and crisis and the housing crisis
Feel free, sir.
that we have in the country.
Feel free, sir.
One of the problems we have in this country, even in addition to the housing crisis, is the fact that people who are in homes struggling to keep them.
Yes.
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 The market has been so people have been priced out of the market while they're even in the market.
Yeah, 150,000. Yes.
People paying rent. Rent is almost equal to mortgage now in the country.
Yes.
And the fact is, majority of people are just paying mortgage. So what needs regulation is these banks.
Yes.
With these high interest rates and these terms that they try to place on the Bahamian people.
Yes, sir. You're so
The
right, sir.
Governments of today need to get more engaged and understand that, look here, if they don't stand up for the Bahamian people, they will have hell to pay.
Yes.
And I listened to the other caller a few moments ago. He's right. When the frustration mounts, people feel it, and it's mounting to a point where people will start to lash out, and if they don't wake up and recognize this reality that people are facing, well, the country will be doomed. But just want to say again, encouragement, keep pushing, keep doing what you're doing, man, and keep lending your voice to those of us and those who are in need.
Thank you very much. And also, you all are very important as well, because, I could bring up the topic, but to hear you all responding, it shows that we're on the same IQ and we know what the problem is. And now we all voicing our opinion on what needs to happen. And because guys like yourself who are actually being outspoken and have the courage to come on radio and, back up what we're talking about, it makes all the difference. And this is a problem that we're going to have to address. And you nail it on the head when you talk about the bank. You talk about the property value, 180. It's $100,000 for a property. By the time some people build a house, their house costs like close to $250,000, like you saying, sir. It's crazy. It's just crazy. Thank you very much for calling. We're going to take this next call. The callers are doing a fantastic job. That's why I like to have the show, because we are connecting. And that's what Inside the Inner City about. We're talking about the problems that affect Bahamians across the board, whether in the Family Islands or Nassau, wherever you are. this show and the solution that's being provided by the callers on point. And this is what needs to happen in our country. Because the caller made a great suggestion. He talked about the banks. And we need to regulate the banks as well to bring down low costs on how they get their payment plan from homeowners. Okay, I'm going to talk a little bit about Atlantis before I go, and then we can take this last call. Go ahead, caller.
Yeah, bless the Scrooge, bro.
Hey, what's up, man? You been missing in action with often, man. You had the jack party.
You might believe it. I was trying to call you like last week, but I couldn't get on.
Oh, sorry for that, man.
But poor people governor, ghetto youth ambassador.
Yes, sir.
And so, you hear me bigging you up because, when they started to talk about this inner city and deterioration of the inner city and urban renewal and all that, I put you face and all of that.
Yeah, listen, man, I appreciate you, man. Yes, sir, I appreciate
you. You're doing what needs to be done, right? And so I just had to give you credit for envisioning. I made a joke. Still was trying to turn Hay Street into Bay Street, right?
That's happening. That's happening.
Yeah, I passed through Hay Street last night, and I see the difference. I see, back in the days, Scrooge, and me and you would paint this picture. Back in the days, Hay Street basketball court was always full. Guys running up and down, playing full court. It seems to me most of the youth consume is smoking weed and doing whatever, but it's not like how it used to be. But I'll say this, right, as it relates to the inner city, and me and you old enough to see the degradation. And so the amount of garbage that we see and the proliferation of garbage in the inner city, it is hurtful, Scoozy. And then, like I said, there's no ordinances, for people to... You need ordinances, Scoozy. All this is local government.
Yes.
You can't just throw garbage here, there, everywhere, and then expect it to go somewhere. And so you see how it is. You spoke about the health fallout as a result of being unkempt, the yards unkempt, et cetera, the proliferation of roads, et cetera, et cetera. You know what I mean? Open cesspit. But I'll say this, the chime in, because I got to go. The thing is, if the government really was serious, I think ministers try to push this in the city initiative as far as incentives for like bringing back dilapidated homes and structures, et cetera.
Mm-hmm.
But just make some bill of materials, boss, because you see the price on the wood now and the stuff right there.
Yeah.
You see the price on the bill of materials.
You're
right?
talking about Watford,
You're talking about eggs. You need to check out the price on the wood.
Man, listen, man, they're expensive. One plywood right now costs almost $50, my brother.
Yeah, but I see it be bought about 50 sheets the other day. But
what? But you get a couple of grand. You don't let anyone say you that, but you spend a couple of grand for them.
You got to refurbish the homesteads because I can't remember what you hear me say.
Yeah, I know. You pull your leg. Why don't you pull your leg?
But I was saying even the facial board them.
Boy, they're expensive.
You don't like to know the price on them.
Boy, listen, they're expensive.
But I mean,
20-something.
But the thing is, the visionless leaders, past and present, they don't see the repercussions of the uncontrolled migration that assist or help lend hand to the housing crisis. And I don't care what nobody says.
No, it's true. You know we're running from that. We know we get illegal immigrants living in a lot of homes.
You see America, everybody catching human smuggling now. There's nothing that's going to change in those schools. I think, like I said, you remember years ago when I was always saying this, the governments, because of corruption and just allowing unabated migration, they're starting a flame that they can't tame.
Yeah.
You see the ghetto youth and the youth have no respect for the police officers. You see that, right? They don't even think the police should search them. They don't think the police should do this. But I&M was different because, even though, if you got caught doing something, that's it, Scoozy, but the police don't have a right to kill you and beat you and say the kind of things and dispense the type of justice they're doing. So we need to, along with clean up the inner city, we need to clean up
reform
a human rights issue.
Yes, reform the whole police force.
And call out the human rights advocates who stand by. I noticed nobody talked about the case with the guy in the newspaper, Scoozy. I hate to bring this up.
The police?
The guy who was brutalized in Ilucha, right?
Yeah, with the police.
Yeah, nobody spoke about that. So, we've been a helpless state.
Yeah.
But I thought somebody should have read it because it's in the papers.
Yeah.
Bless up. Give thanks.
Thank you very much, 52. 52, he's a phenomenal BMN. He's a nationalist, and, he being right on many things he said, when many people were saying, like, he cuckoo. But he ain't so cuckoo because he proved the COVID-19. Everything he said about the COVID-19, everything he's talking about is actually true. And you see, when you listen now, the COVID-19 is a whole flu. So it tells you, sometimes people is in this world who have an insight, but sometimes we just don't listen because we're so distracted from hearing the truth and want to just point fingers at people you're not listening to the message. And sometimes we just lose. And like you said, you talked about the housing crisis in the country, and you talk about the illegal migration. He told me illegal immigrants who come on ships. They used to come on sloops. They don't come on sloops no more, Bahamian people. They come on motored boat now, high-tech boats now, hard to detect now. They could get from Haiti to the Bahamas very quickly, from here to Miami very quickly, because, the dynamics has changed. Many people have benefited from the Bahamas, and they're able to use the resources here in the Bahamas to take back home to their motherland. And you know that the Bahamas dollar is dollar for dollar. So shipping that money back home, which you can't blame them. They come here for a better life, and they use that to the best of their abilities. And what they do now is that they come in these communities, and they're looking for a house. And they find these abandoned houses in these inner-city communities they rent from homeowners in the Bahamas, family members who don't get along, who don't like their brothers and sisters, who don't want the house, so they rather rent it to a foreigner. I mean, the foreigner rents it. They work on their citizenship after a while. How they get their citizenship, come here illegally sometimes. It's politics, opposition, or government. Know that there's a certain population over here. They help them to get their passport, get their certificate, birth certificate, and everything else. And in time, they want them to vote for that particular party. Both parties have been doing this for 50 years, so we have a corruption going on where we even give out documents, false documents, which become Bahamian documents. As we can see in the audit reported by the passport by government, and the audit on the passport audit shows you that a lot of fraudulent passports were given out to how many people? They can't even count. Why? Because the government knows that there are a certain population of people who are community, and they take advantage of these individuals. Some are in the party, some are not in the party. And they take advantage because they know how many people of that community are residing in the country. And they know that based on the Bahamian 4 or 5 generation of Bahamians, there's a certain number. So you can look at, say, that's about 150 to 200 probably raw-born Bahamians, and the next population is half, we could say, regular Haitian nationals who some came here legally. Then we have a population, just say we have close to about 150,000 Haitian Bahamian. There's some come legally, then we get some, half of that is Haitian Bahamian. And then we have some who come on the ships again, and they land here, they go undetected because our governments failed to apprehend them in a timely fashion. And because of international law, we have to give them health care. We have to put them in school. And once they get documented in our healthcare system, we can't deny them access to the country's resources. Despite what me and you say, because we sign on the agreements like care outcome. That's why it's good to read. And that's why you see when the Minister of National Security, Van Monroe, say even though the Trump administration has canceled support aid to Haiti, that the Bahamas still will go and see what they can do down there in Haiti. Reason why? Because we signed on to this agreement. And once we sign on to this agreement, government, whether it's PLP or FNM, have signed on to this agreement. And they have to live up to this obligation that they signed on to this agreement. But as that population grow, of persons who are stagnated in the country, they rent, then they rent their own. And once they buy, they continue to look for other places in the community. And a lot of the Bahamian-owned houses are not Bahamian-owned houses. They're still Bahamian-owned houses, but they're just a different set of people who migrated from a different country. We know we're all blacks, but they take the opportunity. Like I said, they will go undetected. It means our immigration laws, our immigration officers, our police officers, our government officials who are supposed to be to do the check and balance have failed to identify these people in a timely fashion. So once these people enter your country, illegally, and then you reach age of 18, you can't do nothing with them no more. Because if they've been here 18 years, where's the police? Why are they not apprehended before they get the age of 18? Now, when they reach 18, we do a swoop of the community by doing raids. And when we get these individuals, we can't do nothing with them. A prime example, the late great Jane Doe, who had a big uproar in the country. He was going to get awarded $30 million, but unfortunately for him, he got stabbed and killed. John Roy, And he was a resident who lived right in the Hay Street area. You understand? So that's why also it's a housing issue in the country, because a lot of illegal immigrants who come in here, they look at these abandoned houses and they fix these up. Why is the brothers and sisters who are Bahamians fighting? Oh, I don't want you in there. I don't like you. This, but other people see that and they want that because they know what they can do there. They only want a roof over there and they would fix that. They'd fix that. They'd fix that. They'd wait together. You won't even see them waking. All you know, windows going in, door going in. Hey, when you look, convenience store open. Yous, Bahamian brothers who fighting and don't like one another. Why is y'all bickering? Your property is getting put to good use. Oh, I don't like my brother. I don't like my sister. I don't want them to have this. Now, the property been there 20, 30 years. There ain't nothing. The grass height and the bush height is the roof. But they don't like one another. And they rather give it to a foreigner. Rich and they deserve it. Let me tell you why they deserve it. Because if you go fight against your brothers and sisters, and you rather someone outside the family love it, unless it's so bad that you don't like no one because some wicked, we have some wicked, now listen, we know we get some wicked family members. Even though they're family, they could be a brother, they could be a sister, but they wicked. And they don't like nobody, they only like themselves. So we have this kind of problems in our country, and that's why you see the way it is. So we have to step up on the regulation and develop our community, like the Honorable Keith Bell. He's doing a good job with the ministry hosting. The only thing I want to say is to him, make sure that these houses are at a cheap price. Make sure that every Bahamian who apply will be looked at, not as a PLP and not as a FNM, but as a Bahamian citizen. Because a lot of these homes that you see building these subdivisions, don't mind Mr. Keith Bell, even though he talking about transparent, he have people who in the PLP party, who he will make for a suggestion for to get these houses. But if he is sincere and the government is sincere, they'd make it a free for all who apply across the board. But good initiative. But we have houses, we have land. There don't need to be a housing crisis in this country. Give us opportunities and options to say, me as a BM, I could go to Andres, I could go to Freeport, I could go to Cat Island, but make sure the property is cheap, $35,000 or $40,000. That I could pay off in a 10-year time. And then the rest of my money could go towards, doing something else. I don't know, something just come up, as you brainstorm. Okay, thank you very much. And that's the part of the show. I have a few more minutes. I want to give a shout out to my boy, Elroy Bryce, at 741. Let me give we have one more clip? Oh, let's play the next clip.
Deputy Prime Minister Chester Cooper hitting back at opposition criticism over last year's foreign air arrivals, insisting more hotel rooms are needed in order to grow stopover visitor numbers. Though the country saw a record-breaking 11.22 visitor arrivals in 2024, Free National Movement leader Michael Pintard asserted the government needs to focus on increasing the number of stopover visitors.
I don't like to respond to political nonsense and mischief. Let me say that I've invited the leader of the opposition on more than 3 occasions for a briefing with tourism professionals to give him a better understanding of the industry and how it works. He is yet to accept that invitation. The invitation remains open to him. I suspect he feels that if he gets a full understanding, it might remove some of the urge to be politically mischievous, and no doubt he thinks that that's his role in opposition.
Foreign air arrivals across all islands equal the 1.72 million arrivals recorded in 2023 and surpass the 1.67 million foreign air arrivals recorded in 2019 by 3.3%. However, Cooper has repeatedly stressed that air arrivals are hampered by limited room inventory.
I have said on numerous occasions that in order to truly advance growth in stopovers, we need more rooms. We're limited in room capacity. Maybe the leader of the opposition can go and invest in some hotels and encourage others if he wishes to be helpful. But I think the government is doing its part. We've attracted more than $10 billion of investments. A lot of it is in the touristic space. In the short term, we have launched through the Tourism Development Corporation policies to incentivize vacation rentals.
Despite this, Pintar said outside Parliament, the Bahamas should not make the mistake of substituting stopover visitors who over time become cruise visitors. Meanwhile, former Tourism Minister Dionisio de Aguilar said the country's failure to grow the stopover visitor segment, which spends much more than cruise visitors, is concerning. Cooper insisted the Ministry of Tourism absolutely wants more stopover visitors.
We do not dispute that 1.72 million air arrivals is in line with the 1.72 million who arrived in 2023. There is no dispute about the numbers. We simply want all Bahamians to have a greater appreciation for what needs to happen in order to grow the numbers. I have expressly stated a vision to double the number of rooms in the Bahamas. We have about 15,000 at the moment. I believe we can get to about 30,000 over the next 10 years. That's my aspiration. And I will continue to focus on the business of tourism.
Reporting for the Guardian News Network, I'm Vonnie Tude.
Yeah, before I respond to that, I'll actually respond to something too. See, let me tell you all something. Read between the lines. We're talking about land crisis, right? If we could give Adrian Fox, right, who deserve his accomplishment, because the other day, Adrian Fox, before the numbers got legal in the country, you know, there was no criminals, but they were breaking the law, you know, and just imagine they came from nothing and they took a chance. The legal business of gambling. Him and my cousin Sebastian, my cousin, I have a lot of family, you know, I just ain't in touch with them, but I'm hearing these things, like when people talk to me, they let me know who else my family. And when we look at persons like Sebastian, who now become ambassadors, their business of illegal number business has gone from being illegal to legal. Now look at these people, Adrian Fox and Sebastian, ambassador Adrian Fox, now Dr. Adrian Fox. What do they have in common? They took a chance. Yes, gambling was illegal, but at the same time, they took a chance. Gambling was illegal, but there were many people, police officers, regular citizens who were going into these illegal number shops, even though numbers was illegal. And the government allowed it for over 30, 40 years in the country. But then one day, as they saw the revenue and what they could achieve by taxing the industry, but before they could tax it, they had to make it legal. Okay? And once they did that, these guys gone from being persons of interest with the police, not say really interested police, because a lot of police is going there taxing them even though it was illegal business. Because there were many raids on their establishment where millions of dollars were moved. And, you know, they got it back by court order. So I don't know if it was legal or ain't illegal, but whatever, money talks. That's all I can say. So those guys, when they get illegal, they were already making millions when it was illegal. Now when they made it illegal, these guys made 10 times more money. Now they are multi-millionaires. Both of them headed to be billionaires. Look at the kind of money they're talking about. Now we're talking about land reform, and we're talking about there ain't no housing issues, and there are housing issues in the country. But how it is that we could give 300 luxury hotel promise, 1,000 jobs. This is all good. I'm just making a point. So we're giving away a $300 million agreement was signed yesterday for a hotel and entertainment project which could bring up to 1,000 jobs in construction and 1,000 more in operation. Bahamian entrepreneur Adrian and Adriana Fox, him and his wife, signed the $300 million heads of agreement with the Davis administration to develop the luxury hotel, residential, and entertainment spanning Cable Beach and Balmoral Island. The Cable Beach project called War Beach will feature two 14-story mixed-use towers with a hotel, private residence, fine dining, rooftop pools, a recording studio, a nightclub, a spa, and a seaside bar. Let me just read. All infused with Bahamian culture. So what I'm saying is the same way we're going to develop new subdivision, we could do the same things to make sure everything is provided. And that's the same thing I'm talking about. Ambulance, air bus, convenience stores and stuff like that. What he proposed to make to him and his wife hotel. Now imagine that. Ain't no land, but how he could get it? And why the David administration could give it to him? Because the man them work themselves up. They start from nothing. They took a chance in illegal business. They took a chance in illegal business. And we could point fingers at them all day. But we must give them credit. Now these guys are multimillionaires and look what they're doing. So if we could give, he must put them to pool money, but the government's going to help him. He's not putting up the whole 300 million. Government's going to help him. The same way a private partner, this is a private partner agreement with Adrian Fox and the Davis administration. So there are many other family members out there. Come up with a plan just like this and do your own subdivision. And then charge Bahamian the cheapest prices. And make it affordable for them, like in 10, 15 years, they can pay off their loan for $35,000 or $40,000, less than $50,000. Okay? These guys going from being illegal number man to legal, and now they are multimillionaires and ambassador and Dr. Fox, and look what they're doing in the country. So, again, do not give up on life. Don't sit around waiting on government. You think these guys wait on government? They established themselves working with flowers. Sabah started off just doing computers. Adrian Fox started off with flowers. And when the police came and raided their places, they never stopped. They paid some off, but they never stopped. And look now, they become legal. Now you can't do nothing with them. Now the guys are eating salmon and steak and all kind of stuff, which they truly deserve. And you as a Bahamian, you could do it too. You could do it too. I just want to say that that comment made by the Deputy Prime Minister concerning the stopover visitors, yes, like, you want more stopover visitors? You're saying that room capacity is on the decline. You're looking to improve the room capacity from 15,000 that is in the Bahamas now to about 30,000 in the next 10 years. That's you being in. Come up with your own strategy. Make your Airbnb. Go to the government, go to your family member and say, we get these properties, let's turn it into something. But charge, if you're going to rent, charge some Bahamian people cheap, man. You have to kill the thing. Don't go all in $1,500, $2,000, man. Come on, man. Look at your estimate, what you spend, and say, you know what? I'm going to charge a cheap rent. And then but 5 years with me renting out to the tenants, I should be able to accumulate the money I spent. And then after that, everything else is profit. And the Deputy Prime Minister, Chester Cooper, he's talking about the opposition leader, Michael Pintar, that they should go and try to duplicate something that the government is doing. Instead of talking to go, then use their connection to try do some A and B or invest in invest in a hotel. In other words, he's saying, stop criticizing the government and go as the opposition, start to make headway because you're trying to become the government. So make some headway instead of talking, And this is the right thing to say, but at the same time, we have to look at the fact that we need opportunities, okay? Adrian Fox, the only reason he's able to get this far in life is because he became a multi-millionaire, and government has to look at him. But he also has a plan. He ain't a fool. He ain't gonna make all that money and grind it out doing a bunch of foolishness. He's investing his money. Sabas is investing his money. They became legit businessmen in this country. They're going from being illegal businessman in this country to be the legit businessman where governments can't even do nothing with them. Governments have to give them position as ambassadors and stuff, man. Come on, man, this is some good stuff. You know? And we talk about the stopover visitors. Let me explain something to the general public. I like to read. I was given a book from Sir Ronald Fox's family, Rosie Fox, his daughter. And before his wife passed away a few years ago, before I got the book from Rosalie folks, they gave me a pink book called The Book That Faith That Moved the Mountain. And as I was reading, I read on what went down and why the tourists was able not to come over the hill no more. There was this great Bahamian, I'm going to end on the show. There was this great Bahamian gentleman by the name of Edmund Moxey. He was a member of parliament. And then there was this white man. He was the creator of the tourism industry in the Bahamas. His name was Sir Stafford Sands. I'm going to give credit to Stafford Sands on what he did. The late, great Edmund Moxey, I think he was in opposition before the PLP became government of the country, if I'm correct. I could be wrong, but somewhere down the line. But anyway, there was a discussion in the House Assembly where Edmund Moxey saw the potentials of over the hill. He saw that Bahamians were working downtown as bartenders and waiters and maids and, doing a little coconut water and whatever, conch salad and whatever the situation is, small snack stores and whatever downtown. But he noticed the nightlife over the hill where only the workers, would be very tired and they'd come back with just a something in their pocket, not something that's going to be able to take care of their family the way they want to take care of their family. So Edmund Moxey went to Sir Stafford Sands and told Sir Stafford Sands, sir, what you think about closing down the cruise ship at night at 5 o'clock and allowing the tourists to come over the hill to spend $1? And also, if we could start small businesses. So many of the houses you see in the inner city community where you have a convenience store at the bottom, or a barber shop, or any type of small business, or Airbnb, that was that was Edmund Moxey's suggestion to Sir Stafford Sands. They said he made these suggestions to Stafford Sands. And they said Sir Stafford Sands was a man who would listen, but he's also a white man. But he was a white man who had a heart. And he said that when this was said to Stafford Sands from the late, great Edmund Moxey, Mario Moxey's father, the pastor Mario Moxey, yes. They said that when he said this to Stafford Sands, Stafford looked at him and said, boy, what you talking about? You want me to go empower these individuals over the hill and close down the cruise ship? And he said, yes, and start small business. He said to Stafford Sands, my boy, that ain't gonna happen. So according to what I read, Miss Rita Pratt, the late great Rita Pratt, I like to read. It was said that Sir Stafford Sands came back the next day or so and called Edmund Moxey. Now, this is a guy who was a part of the UBP, Sir Stafford Sands. He called an Edmund Moxey, who was a part of the PLP, the opposition, and he told him, I like the idea. How could we make this happen? And what they did is this. They allowed the cruise ship to operate from morning till 5. After 5, they allowed the tourists, 1 million guests, Bahamian people, used to go to the Catfield, to all the overnight spots, the local bars. We're talking about Haley Jackson, we're talking about Muhammad Ali, all of them who came to visit the Bahamas, Dr. Martin Luther King, all of them came over the hill. And they came to interact with the Bahamian people who were just like them and spent American dollars. And that was able to empower so many different Bahamians. That's why there were so many Airbnb. And that's the Stafford Sands and Edmund Moxey is doing. And when it stopped? That's how a lot of small businesses got started. That's how a lot of kids, family who were growing up at that time had an opportunity to send their kids off to London to have the best education. That created the opportunity. When it stopped? I was reading, it stated that after the UBP lost the general election, the late great Sir Lyndon Finland became the premier of the Commonwealth of the Bahamas. And the UBP guys were leaving the country. And in negotiating with the tourism ministry, Sir Lyndon Pinland, like they said, he was a lawyer, but not a businessman. This is no disrespect to Lyndon Pinland. Go read. All right? I was a historian. I listen and I read. And it was said that he was a lawyer, not a businessman. So Stafford Stans was a businessman. So the Bahamas government at that time were paying the cruise ship industry $1 million to allow the tourists to come off the cruise ship, to come over the hill. This was the agreement because Sir Stafford Stans and Edwin Moxley said that if you're going to have this cruise ship coming to the Bahamas, we don't need no entertainment on the cruise ship. So there were no pool tables, there were no gambling on the cruise ship. Okay? That's why the government was paying $1 million so that the cruise ship industry wouldn't have all these different entertainment because you're coming to the Bahamas, we want the tourists to come off. That's what we're talking about, overnight stay. So in the negotiation, after Lyndon came, the prime minister, like I said, he was a lawyer, not a businessman. He tried to negotiate to the cruise ship industry, and they asked him, say, are y'all going to continue paying the $1 million so the guests could stay overnight in the inner city community? And according to what I read, he said no. So when he said no, and he's not paying the $1 million no more to allow the guests to come over, the cruise industry get together, just like how the Life of Key boys did with former Prime Minister of the country, Hubert Alexander Minnis, when he tried to increase taxes on the rich people in Life of Key. And they came back and responded and said they'd boycott the Bahamas. And then he came back the very next day and said, no, we're not going to increase taxes on the Life of Key or the rich people, okay? Because when they say how much people they employ, how much they spend on national insurance, how much companies they own, which would send the Bahamas in the bankruptcy and put many people out of job in the country. So Minnis had no choice but to forget about that. No different than Lyndon. So he said he ain't paying the $1 million. So the cruise ship industry got together and said, what, you ain't paying? Be boycotting the Bahamas. So when he had that, tourism was our number one industry. He panicked. And when he panicked, they had him. Because like I said, Sir Stafford Stans was a businessman, not him. He was a lawyer. He couldn't negotiate. He didn't understand the market. Okay? I'm getting ready to finish right now. And then, in doing so, they came up with that strategy. He went back to them, and he asked them what I could do to amend this. They told him, say, you're not paying the money no more. So if you want us to come back to the Bahamas, we are going to upgrade the cruise ships in the country. And when he mean upgrade, the cruise ship industry was already feeling the punch because the guests them were staying overnight in the inner city community. And millions were being spent in the inner city community. When I was a little boy, there were coins all over the streets and money was all over the streets in Nassau, in the inner city community. We had Capital Theater, we had so much entertainment. East Street, Market Street, and Blue Road was like Bay Street. Okay? There was so much money. I don't know how the Bahamas get like this. But anyway, to cut it short, they said that if you want us to come back to the Bahamas, we're going to upgrade. And what they did, they started adding casinos, started adding pool, adding slides. Okay? Now we had 1 million guests coming over. And guess what you think happened? Those guests stopped coming off the cruise ship and stopped coming over the hill. And at the same time, the drug pandemic came along. So they banned the guests, the tourists, because I was a little boy, used to go dive for quarters. We had to sneak to get on Bay Street because the police were on all the exit points. You talk about racism? We get racism from our own. The police were on all the major points, the Gregory Arch, East Street, and once you were coming over to go downtown to make a living, you had to either tell the police officer where you were working, or you couldn't get on Bay Street. And in doing so, we messed up. So the cruise ship started adding all kind of entertainment show, and the guests ain't coming off no more. And then the over the hill started to die off because now the guests can't live off the cruise ship no more and go in the inner city community to rent a Airbnb. Okay? Go look and read. Tourism is our bread and butter. There's supposed to be no poverty in this country. if we use the tourism industry the way we're supposed to use it, poverty will be eradicated in this country. Because there's so much job opportunity, so much small business opportunity in the tourism industry. We didn't even top the market, okay? We had 11 point some billion visitors visit our shores, record breaking. And we're looking to go to 12 million this year. And yet still, we have poverty, we have high crime, and high unemployment in the country. Something is wrong. And they're talking about how much money those 11.2 million visitors came to our shore with. And some of them only spent $50. But if we had things established, like our fish fries established, like our monocules established, like our under the bridges established, and all those businesses on Bay Street, if we could do similar things like that in the inner city community, we'll see complete change in this country. So I'm completely out of time. I'd like to say to each and everyone who called tonight on Inside the Inner City, you did a tremendously great job. I hope me, as a talk show host, talk about some real facts and encourage you and inspire you to go out there and do you want. Be like the past people. They were illegal gambling business. Him and Adrian Fawkes. They didn't stop. As much as the police came and raided them and killed a couple million, couple $100,000, they never stopped. They kept it up. Now look at them. They're in big things in the country, Ambassador and building luxury hotel. So we have Crown Land, just how the government could give Adrian Fawkes the authorization to build this luxury hotel promise. Where is this now? Where's this? Cable Beach and Balmoral Island. There could be many other different opportunities for a lot of generational property on the family island if you guys become